shit that you bump in the ride. Don't listen to lyrics, just fuck with the vibe. I can say anything you wouldn't mind. Like 10 pennies, I change up on a dime. I'm pretty diverse, got a good sense of just how much I'm worth. Just haven't been heard by that person preferred. This ought to do it, I need that referral. It's a cold world, I feel like Gucci go bird. Put on a sweatshirt like Earl. We fairly odd, our future is broad. PSG mob, ASAP, how we need all the guap. Got my dudes doing head nods. Yep. Anyone else is a deja vu of themselves. I can outdo myself on the next song. It cannot be done. You can ask my mom. I'm the prodigal son. I don't keep old flows, not one. I make a hit and run. Stack my paper like a mailman truck because it's all about the funds now. My girls just wanna have fun.
What's going on, everybody? Another week here, gone in the NFL season. Thanks for joining us. I'm one of your hosts, Matthew Grieve, co-host Mr. Josh Allen, and our guest host today, Mr. Cody Blankenship.
What's up, everybody?
Thanks for joining us, guys. And you know what? We're just gonna get down to it. We don't want to fumble our way through this.
Wow.
Starting off with that, we had our week against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. Cody, as our guest host, why don't you start us off? What were your thoughts about the game? Maybe we'll start with the offense.
So let's see. I think we came out great, came out swinging, and that's where you want the game to go. 14 points in the first quarter. And I'm thinking the whole time, like I'm planning my Super Bowl party. I'm planning to get together or whatever. We're going to march down in Jacksonville, whatever, get the parade going and all that stuff. And then bam, bad timing, things start falling apart, and it just goes away from there. And you can blame it on the rain. Blame it on the rain. But that's not really what we do here. And, we don't make excuses. We just try to get better every week. And I felt 100% sure that the Jags were going to win this game, and I felt 100% sure that they could have. And I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with pretty much most of you said. The offense, it sucks. I mean, the rain is part of the game. You're playing outside. I saw somewhere, and I don't know how true this is, but I guess Trevor Lawrence refuses to play with the glove, even though that may have helped him in that situation with his non-sticky fingers. And I don't know if you guys have ever held like a pro or a wide receiver glove. Those things are like glue. I mean, It's Velcro. I mean, I think that could have helped, but again, it's playing the elements is just part of the game. And it's part of what makes it beautiful. I think our offense, I think they did pretty good. I think Trevor Lawrence, obviously, he fumbled one time, two times, three times, four times. I don't know. I don't know what happened more. Did he fumble more? Or did we draft and sign more linebackers?
Right. Do we have more linebackers or fumbles?
But no, it's tough coming after a loss to really talk about any sort of positives. I thought coming to this I was going to be positive, but man, a loss just sucks. We've done so much of it. Having a couple wins in a row felt really good. So I don't know, Josh.
Yeah, listen. I wish they had won. A loss is not good. There are no moral victories, but I will tell you this. First of all, shout out to Matt Briggs, who is throwing up a Duval. I guess he's resigned to his fate. The Jags are going to stomp a hole in his team, even though he did also then say Texans by 50. I don't think. First of all, you're copyright infringing on Cody, and secondly, not happening. But back to the game on Sunday, there are no moral victories. And I had a long conversation with somebody. I was in like 20 different chats with people about the game and about football in general. And the ultimate measuring stick is winning. They didn't win the game. But I will tell you that game was not even in the top 100 worst losses I have sat through as a Jaguars fan. Not even close. Yes. If you had told me that this team was going to be 2-2 going into week 5 and they'd have 2 commanding victories, but didn't tell me who they beat or who they lost to, I would have said, heck yes, I'll take that. Given the disaster that they were last year under Urban Meyer. And in that game, they had 5 turnovers and they had 4 turnovers and they were driving to win the game before the last fumble by Trevor. So listen, the Eagles are a good team, not taking anything away from the Eagles. I think this is one of those fluke games if you're a good team. right? So how they come out this coming Sunday and how they perform against the Texans will show us what this team's actually made of. I still think the Jags are much better than they've been the past few years. I think Doug Peterson is a very good coach. I'm still optimistic, and to shout out to all the Tennessee Titans fans, but we're still first place in the division, you idiots. Every Tennessee Titans fan that I've encountered this week needs to understand how the tiebreakers work in the division rankings. So we're still number one, and you guys can go suck on some mayo.
Math can be difficult. It's interesting you say that. You're right. I mean, we had 4 turnovers, and we still had a chance to win the game. So, again, like you said, moral victories aren't a thing. But if you're gonna have a loss, I hate to say it, but I'm okay with the way that we lost.
I think the thing is, the Jaguars lost to themselves. The Jaguars beat themselves on Sunday.
We lost the game. The Eagles didn't win it.
And 2 years ago, even a year ago, we're playing the Eagles in that scenario with 5 turnovers. We would have lost by 30, 40 points.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that we would have lost by 50 instead of winning by 50.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, look at last year. I mean, I hate to point us out, but we beat the freaking Bills. We had zero business beating the Bills, right? So every great team, and yes, we are a great team. I really do think we are one of the better top 10 teams in the NFL. You're going to lose a few, and that's okay. That's why it's a long season, and it's all fair once you hit the postseason. And that's the goal right now, I guess, right? Did you guys see we are actually odds-on favorites to win the division right now?
Well, yeah.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Like Vegas has us winning.
It's in Vegas, people in Vegas are very smart. And I'm not a gambler. Like I'll bet lunch or like, a $20 donation to a charity or something on a game, but I'm nothing against people who gamble, just not my thing. Mm-hmm. But the people in Vegas are very smart. Yep. Right. And they're not always right. And that's why you're betting, they're odds and not guarantees. Right. But if you look at the point differential, even with that game against Philly, the Jaguars have scored more points than any of the teams in the division, and they've given up less points. Like just straight up, like they're playing the 2 games that they've lost, they beat themselves. They beat themselves when they played the Commanders, and they beat themselves when they played the Eagles. And I think what you see, I talked about this yesterday on the main podcast, there's good teams, there's elite teams, and then there's, dynasty teams. The dynasty teams right now are teams like the Chiefs, right? The great teams are teams like the Bills. And then there's good teams. There's a bunch of good teams. I think the Jaguars are a good team. And the question is, over the course of this year, maybe next year, can they go from good to great or great to, elite? And we'll see.
So we touched a little bit about Trevor Lawrence, his obvious flaws. I mean, he still had a positive touchdown interception ratio, which is always a positive to see, especially after his touchdown interception ratio last year. He threw two TDs and threw 1 interception. Now, that still sucks, but I'll take that. What do you guys think about the running game? We only ran the ball 19 times for the whole game, but we were never really that far out of reach.
It doesn't seem like Doug Peterson and his staff are running a run-heavy offensive plan. It seems like they are a pass first to set up the run, and that, listen, this is my complete amateur analysis, right? So I think that played into it. I don't think anybody anticipated Trevor to lose 4 fumbles, but even Robinson had that fumble where it got punched out. I think, again, it's not an excuse. The Jags should have won. But there are, again, it feels like one of those weird fluke games where you just like, that's football. And again, how you respond to that is really going to tell me more about this team. And that's why I think like the Texans are in, for a bad time on Sunday.
Yeah. Trevor with a chip on his shoulder is going to be something to see, man.
As long as it doesn't rain, because apparently, Trevor Lawrence is.
Sunshine can't get wet.
Yeah. That's great.
So how about this? What do you guys think of Agnew, man? Let me tell you when I saw him and like after the game, how I felt about his performance. It reminded me of the year that the good year that Mercedes Lewis had.
Yeah.
He just had a bunch of touchdowns.
Yep.
At the right times. I feel like Agnew, I don't know, it just reminded me of that. I'm not saying
Agnew is a player that I think when you have other good players and you can scheme for him and Agnew's never going to be your number 1 receiver. He's never going to be your guy that is your number one receiver, but if he is your third guy that can come in when attention's on, your top guys. But, honestly, outside of Josh Allen, because I have the same name as him, if I was going to buy a jersey right now, I would buy House Call Jamal's jersey over any player on the team currently. I mean, I like him. I'll never forget, I was in the stadium during that Arizona game when he returned that field goal for a touchdown last year. It was one of the wildest moments I've ever seen in person in a football game. I thought he stood out. I thought so. Well, I think I'm still concerned about Trevor because the interception he did throw was the same bonehead decision he made in that Chargers game when he almost threw that pick six to Derwin James, but Derwin James dropped it. So you still see a little bit of decision making. I think I don't know. Yeah, I think that's probably nitpicking a little bit though. Every quarterback throws interceptions. People act like you have to not ever throw an interception to be a good quarterback, and it's just not. It's not reality. So.
Yeah, I guess put in those pressure situations, and he just forces one, and even he's like, "Why did I do that?" But going back to Jamal Agnew, he's one of those players that, like, when he catches the ball, like, you have a chance to be surprised at what happens next, and that's why he's on a punt return. And it's like every time he touches the ball, I'm like, this could come back, and that's what makes him a great player to me. It's always fun to see, and he's one of those people that just strive for better, for more yardage. He wants to show out there, and I wish the rest of the team felt like that.
And he's a smart player too. He just seems to be in the right place to make something happen, a lot of times. Not that other players aren't, but like I think that's probably his intelligence and his ability to see a hole where other people, I think, wouldn't necessarily see a hole to run through, I think, are what has helped him be successful.
Yeah, he's got great vision.
Yeah.
He's super reliable too. Like, he's savvy, and he's like a solid vet. He's what we want. He's partially what we wanted LaVisca to be, right? You kind of throw it, and the guy can just make some magic happen.
And everybody wanted Chenault to be successful, but he just didn't work out. And another guy that I think, Matt, you and I both have concerns about, Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne, I think what I said to you was everybody wanted him to be. Who did we compare? Who did we want him to be? Oh, everybody wanted him to be the next Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
But he's more of an Ace Sanders than, he's like Ace Sanders 2.0. Yeah. That's a deep cut Jaguars reference. I don't think anybody who's not a Jags fan would even remember Ace Sanders. But Ace Sanders and him not tying his shoelaces used to drive me nuts. Like, bro, keep your stupid shoes on, you idiot. But I just think Travis Etienne, I don't know, man. He has not impressed me at all so far. Like, there
was this one run that he did that he got, and he hit the line or whatever, and I'm thinking he's down there, but then he got like another 4 yards off of it, and so he could be slippery sometimes, but he's just inconsistent to me.
And I think partly that could be because this is essentially his rookie year. He didn't really play
for sure.
any NFL situations before he got hurt.
Right. It's interesting you say that, but he actually had more rushing yardage than Robinson.
Well, he stopped giving the ball to Robinson. I don't understand.
Dude, I don't know. I don't. It's interesting because it's rain. It's rain. So
it's raining. Your quarterback is fumbling it. Your wide receivers are dropping it. Because there were a couple of drops. Even Kirk had one that hit him right in the hands, bounced right off. And listen, it's a fluky weather sort of a deal. Like, even the Eagles had a couple of plays that would have been big gains, and there was one that would have been essentially the dude would have been gone for a touchdown, but they dropped some balls too, I think, because of the slippery conditions or whatever. But yeah, again, who am I to second guess? I guess Doug Peterson, who's won a Super Bowl, but you do have those questions where you're like, all right, why don't we just hand it off to James Robinson? And especially when the score was tied or they were still up by a touchdown, seemed like they got pass happy. And it was really that one incomplete pass to Jamal Agnew that seemed to suck the wind out of the offense altogether. It was weird. Even the announcers on TV were like, after that pass, like, they seem to really not understand what they're doing or have a plan for what they're trying to do. So interesting.
Yeah. The more I look at this game, Trevor Lawrence, and I'm going to give him a pass for last year. I don't know about how you guys feel about that, but I'm going to give him a pass and pretty much say this is his rookie year. He's got some competent coaching. There's no toxicity within the team. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. So I'm going to chalk this up to being just it's some rookie mistakes. I mean, there were some time I feel so bad for the offensive line because they didn't perform bad. Trevor held the ball. I can't tell you how many times I yelled at the TV for Trevor just get rid of the ball, man. He held it for way too long on several of those possessions. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Also, I feel like Trevor was trying to force feed Kirk. Now I know Kirk he's a baller, and when he gets the ball, he can make things happen. But if you're looking at the stats, he had 9 targets. The next closest was Agnew at 6, and the next closest was Hasty at 2. And everyone else had 1.
Listen. This may make me a bad Jaguars fan. I didn't recognize Hasty. I was like, who is that? That's a guy like this guy's on the team. Like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
Like, I had literally when I looked him up, I remembered vaguely that he existed.
Yeah.
But that was one of those moments like, oh, big throw to Hasty, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. I was like, is that D.D. Westbrook? Wait, is that Alan Hearns out there?
They put a fan on the field.
Right.
Yeah, no. So I thought, for me, I don't want to beat the dead horse with the offense, but T-Law, he could have had a better outing. Force feeding the ball, holding the ball, and not holding the ball, I guess, as well.
Yeah, holding the ball and not holding it either.
Before we move on to the defense, any other things you guys want to say about the offense?
I think I'm still confident that they'll bounce back. I think it was. I do hope they spread the ball around a little more like they had done in the previous games, because it did seem they were like weirdly throwing it. And Trevor's got to learn to look off receivers, even when he knows who he's throwing to. He's got to figure out how to not telegraph his throws with his eyes. So
I just want to take a quick second and talk about the offensive line. As far as like pass blocking goes, they were immaculate. Like you said, Trevor held the ball for far too long in some cases, and that didn't happen last year. And last year it didn't even happen. So the run blocking was, they left some room to be desired. James Robinson is great at finding those holes, through the defense, whatever, but he was hitting them head on every time, it seemed like. They got to like step it up in that area. But, there's great coaching on the Jacksonville sideline. So, all these things that we're talking about today, whatever, they could be improved on. And that makes this team, have help me out. What's the word? Like potential. Yes, there it is.
Yeah. Sam Warnett says that you are the comment goat. So she says, big shout out to Sam Warnett. Hope your parole hearing went well yesterday. Hope you don't have to do any more time in the Hooskow than absolutely necessary.
So before we move on to the defense, support for the Jag Wire is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. They do some grooming up top as well. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's performance package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide, including myself, who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, our fans at the Jaguar. You get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code. Now, I don't know if I want anybody from Russia.
You said including yourself?
Yes, I do utilize it.
How you feeling? Feeling aerodynamic?
I feel like a escaped man.
Yeah, dude. Michael Phelps. That's what I'm talking about.
Manscaped. All you got to do, if you want 20% off of free shipping worldwide, insert code Manscaped or insert code
Fan Battle
at manscaped.com. And now, if my math is correct, that's about 12 million balls.
Yep.
12 million. That's good.
Yep. But anyways, thanks to Manscaped. We're moving on to the defense.
That's almost as many balls as Trevor dropped.
Ooh, his were too shaved. No, so the defense, all I got to say is, holy crap, ground game. Where was our run defense?
I hear you, but I also, my overall thought on the defense is, what the hell do you expect them to do? It's the number one rushing offense in the league, the number one passing offense. They got stops. They kept that team in the game. And yes, Sanders had a huge game, but when the Eagles consistently get the ball at the 40-yard line, the 30-yard line, and they're past the 50. Like I was looking at, I think it was like 40% of their possessions they started past the 50-yard line because our team couldn't hold on to the freaking ball. So I think, yes, I agree, but also like, what the heck? I think the offense's struggles hurt the defense. But even so, we still had a chance. We were in it. We were in it at the end, and it's just, it's one of those things like just you see it slipping through their fingers, and it's just wild. But Sam Wernett says with weather like that, games are decided at the scrimmage line, and that was the difference, though. The run game was the difference, and our run defense not living up to, the way it had played the few weeks beforehand. So.
Yeah, if you look, well, one positive, we couldn't stop the run, or we weren't super strong against it because of many factors. But we didn't give up a passing touchdown. So, I mean, we can hang our hat on that. They ran for 4 touchdowns on us, with 2 of them coming from Sanders. But Hurts, I mean, he only got 38 yards. People talking about Hurts, I think he's a good quarterback, and I think he's got a bright future, especially now that he's got some good weapons around him. But I think people talked about Hurts coming to the game as if he was Michael Vick 2.0, right? And, we held him down to 38 yards on 16 carries. I'll take that against Michael Vick 2.0. I don't know. What do you think, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, he was contained for a good portion of the game. And they said that, I think the game plan going in was, if he's going to beat us, he's going to have to beat us with his arm. And unfortunately, that happened. He threw to A.J. Brown a couple of times.
Well, that was the perplexing thing. They only threw to him a couple of times. And every time the man caught the ball, it was like a 40-yard completion. And
I'm so tired of that happening. I need A.J. Brown to retire.
And listen, I'm no expert, but I knew that they were going to get, 24 to 30 points. Like the Eagles are going to be a hard team to stop, even for the best of defenses. But I legitimately thought that the Jags, based on their past 2 weeks, could outscore them, or at least hang with them. And they did technically kind of hang with them. I think that the bright spot for the defense was that Andre Cisco pick 6. And one of my general thoughts about the defense is I would like to take Shaquille Griffin and just launch him into the sun to never return to the field.
Was he covering AJ?
There was a couple times where just like even the TV announcer was like, "Oh, Shaq Griffin's just sort of missing his assignment there." Like it's
just on TikTok, whatever.
Get him off my team. Yeah, get him off my team.
And it was I was glad to see Trey Sermon out there. I know he was on the opposing team, but I watched him a little bit in college, and I thought he was underutilized with the 49ers. So it's nice to see him get a couple touches out there. And I mean, he ran for 19 yards on 2 carries. So I think anybody will take that average per carry. I don't know. What did you guys think about Walker's performance?
Where was he?
I think he's one of those players that if he wasn't in the game, you would know. You would feel that missing piece.
Maybe I feel like he was non-existent, but
when he's there, whatever, he's getting that pressure, whatever, he's forcing that ball to come out earlier. He's around the defenders. I mean, not the defenders, but the wide receivers or whatever after the catch and putting them down, making sure they don't go 40 more yards. So I mean, he's an integral piece, but he's just got to be a playmaker. He's got to step up in those regards or whatever, and he has in these past couple of games. But in this one, like Josh said, where was he? And you could say that like as those playmaker decisions weren't there, but I think he was a vital piece in the defense.
Yeah, I think that, but the problem is, and Matt, I don't mean to steal your thunder here, but Matt has said when you're drafted first overall, you can't be invisible ever. Like you just can't. Like there's more pressure on him. But I think one thing was clear from the outset: the Eagles, I think, game planned pretty well. They used the Jags' defensive speed against them.
Yes,
several times. Like Josh Allen was on Jalen Hurts, and they ran fakes that fooled him. And Josh Allen is one of those high high football IQ guys, right? That you don't really fool easily. And he had no idea that Jalen Hurts didn't have the ball, right? And they used over pursuit. There was one where like Josh Allen was going to literally decimate and knock the soul out of Jalen Hurts' body, and somehow Jalen Hurts still gets the pass off to a running back that they had just sitting there because they knew that the defense was going to over pursue. So I think there was a little bit of game planning there, and I think part of that game plan probably also negated Walker a little bit as well. But
I think they had that Scooby-Doo feet.
yeah.
Yeah, I now that you bring it up, I do remember that they exposed it, but it was nice to see like, holy crap, we're pretty fast. Like,
yeah, man,
our guys can get off. But if you game plan against it, but we'll learn from it. I think we have a competent coaching staff that can game plan against that. And
well, not every quarterback's Jalen Hurts either, right?
Right.
Like Ryan Tannehill, he's not running some of those plays where he extends his life, and straight up Titans fans, you guys are lucky you're not playing us early in the year this year, because all I heard last day and a half from Titans was, oh, Jags, they lost. Where are the Jaguars fans? The Titans fans still run the
sitting in the clubhouse because this is where the division leaders hang out at. That's where.
Yeah, and the Titans nearly. Anyway, I don't want to get off on the Titans, but they nearly lost to the Colts, and they can just shut up.
Yeah.
Dude, if the Jaguars had that embarrassing game against the Buffalo Bills, like say this was like role reverse or whatever, like we wouldn't hear the end of it. And I don't know why we let them on that. Yeah. Oh, you haven't?
No, I know a couple. I actually know a couple of guys, real life friends that are Bills fans that tried to run their mouth, and I just sent them a screenshot of the score. But I think we're tied for first place in the division, or technically in the lead. But you can say if you're just looking at wins, we're tied, right? Yeah. Yes, the loss was frustrating. But I don't know, man. Like if you had told me at the beginning of the year, this is where it would be going into week 5 with the toothless Texans, the shiny tin horns from Houston coming into town. I don't know. I'd be okay with it. I'd probably be happy about it.
So what do you guys think about the coaching for the game? What did you think about their game plan? A little bit aggressive. We didn't try any field goals.
I think that's what you get with Doug Peterson, right? Like, I think he's going to go for it on. He's going to go for it on fourth down more than most coaches, and it pays off sometimes, and other times it does not. But it didn't. His aggressive. I don't think their aggressiveness cost them the game. I don't think the aggressiveness is what caused Trevor to have butter hands. They couldn't grip a football. I like Doug Peterson. I would rather go down swinging than than not be aggressive. Especially against a team like the Eagles, I think you have to come hard to the hoop against them, and you have to pull out sort of all the stops there.
You know what, man? I think I'm in the minority, but I know that they're undefeated and they just beat us, but I really don't think the Eagles are I don't think they're as great as what everybody's putting them out to be. I mean, just look at the game this past week. We beat ourselves. And I think most people agree to that. Like, Trevor loses 4 fumbles and we still only lose by 8 points. Like, what?
Yeah. I think that's a testament to how good the Jags have the potential to be, though.
Right. But what I'm saying is I don't think the Eagles are as good as everyone makes them out to be.
I don't know, man. They look pretty darn good in other games.
Do you think they're going to win their division?
I mean,
listen,
I think they walk away with that easily.
Sold his soul to the devil, and now he's got Cooper Rush coming in, going undefeated. And when Dak Prescott was injured, I don't know. Don't the Eagles play the Cowboys this weekend? We'll see. I think so. I think they. I don't know. I think the Eagles are going to make a deep run in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts has shades of Patrick Mahomes sometimes, like just the way he does stuff that, like, you're like, how the heck did he even that one pass where I literally thought Josh Allen was going to murder him, and it's like a 50-yard completion, like from a dump pass in the backfield, like. Ugh.
Yeah, like I said, I think I'm in the minority. I don't think they're as cracked up as whatever.
I don't think they're as good defensively as everyone's giving them pats on the back about, but I think their offense is very good.
Yeah. Like I think
Yep.
the Chargers, I think the Chargers are a much better team, even with their injuries that they've suffered. I think Chargers are still a better team than the Eagles.
Maybe. I
on
don't know.
on paper, but they got to get their chemistry together or something. Like I mean, once they get those injured players back, I mean, if they're coming back, I haven't checked into that.
Even with their healthy players, I mean, they have Derwin James, they have Khalil Mack. I mean, they have some solid players that are still. I mean, you move them to another team, they're going to be the best player on defense.
Right.
So
And that's what I'm saying. I just feel like with all those key pieces in their football team that they should be making way more waves. They shouldn't have lost to us.
Oh no, they should have, because we're number one, baby. Number one, baby.
I'm just saying, if you people are gonna hype the Chargers up like they were during the game, yeah, and then saying like, oh, they have this and they have that and they have this. Well, where was it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
they're either good or they aren't, right? Like they're good if they beat us. People would have talked about how great they are, right? But we beat them, and now all of a sudden people are like, oh, really, they're not that great. They ain't injured. Whatever. Yeah. It's hard losing to the Jags. I get it. It's a it's a soul-crushing moment for a good team once you realize
it's a career ender.
Yeah,
career ender. Yeah, dude. Like you play us or whatever, and you're having the greatest time, whatever, and people like they think that we're a stepping stone, and we have been for many seasons or whatever. But we'll surprise you. We'll come out and shut you out, Colts. We'll surprise you.
The better part of a decade.
And go over in San Diego and beat the Chargers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For the better part of a decade, the Jaguars have been the NFL equivalent of a directional school in college football, right? and all I can say to the folks that get upset when our team beats yours is that your tears are delicious, and I hope you hate it. I hope you hate every moment watching my team beat your team, and I hope it happens many, many times between now and forever.
Oh, did you know that the Colts won a Super Bowl? Because they never bring that up.
Oh Lord, let's not even talk about Colts.
It's interesting. I've lived in a lot of places in my life. I was in the military for a couple of years, so I moved around here and there. And so I got, especially in the military, a lot of guys are sports fans, especially football fans. And so what was always interesting when I told people that I was a Jaguars fan, I feel like even though we've been in the bottom of the barrel for at least 4 decades, we don't get treated, and we're not seen, at least this is my perception, in my opinion, we're not perceived at the same level as, like, say, the Browns. Like, when people look at the Browns and they lose to the Browns, they're like, oh my gosh, you lost to the Browns. Where it's like the Jags, it's like, I feel like there's always, except maybe for like the last 2 years, I feel like you lost to the Jags isn't as bad as losing to the Browns.
Right.
That's Dan Marino.
I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like,
I think
bottom of the barrel, but we're not seeing in the same. Gosh, you're so bad as the Browns. We're just like, yeah, you're a bad team, but you guys.
Yeah, I think we're not seen as bad as the Browns or like the Jets. The Jets are just this hapless team that they can't. I think it's weird. It's we're not good and we're not really respected, but we're not quite as disrespected. And I think part of that is because our fan base is one of the most voracious, just god awful hordes of human beings when you make us angry, like to the point where like there was a pregame show. It was one of the shows. There was a guy talking about the Jags, and he was like, I just want everyone to know that I think Jags fans, they're great. They're the best fans in the league. And I'm like, bro, we must have done something to you. He must have gone at it with Jags Twitter in the past or something, and he's just trying to make sure he does not anger us. Like,
he just saw a Jags fan in his yard at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
well, I think people perceive us Jags fans like we're like a myth. Like there are actual Jaguars fans out there, so people like when in the Army, when I told people like, hey, I'm a Jaguars fan, people believed me. Not like when other people say, hey, I'm a Patriots fan or I'm a Bucks fan or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's always interesting to see people's reactions.
There's a lot of people that are fans of teams just because they win. There's not a lot of like diehard NFL fans out there or whatever. And when you get around those, they're not surprised. Yeah. They're not surprised one bit. They met us and they have some stories to tell. And that's awesome.
So what are you guys' overall thoughts on the game? What kind of grade do you give it and close out the review of the game?
Oh, it's a D all around. Straight D minus even. And I give them that harsh grade simply because they beat themselves. They could have won that game and they didn't, you know. So that's my grade.
I'm gonna give it a C minus. Because the turnovers or whatever. If we just clean up a little bit, and it's a different story. If the first half Jaguars played all game, Jags by 50, and it's that simple.
It felt that way for a minute, didn't it? It's
yeah.
Like, oh no, are we gonna clean their clocks again? Like oh my god. But then things took a different turn.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I have to give it a C because I feel like a crazy man because at moments I'm like it wasn't so bad, and other times I'm like, dang, it was a loss. That sucks, right? So I say give him a C, but a positive C. So I guess a C plus because I feel like even though we lost, I feel like we've raised our floor, right? Where coming into the game, I feel like we could have won. Coming out of the game, I feel like we should have won. So I feel like our floor and my expectations. Now, I guess I have to carry this on to the next week and the next week and next week, right? If I'm saying we're raising our floor, I guess I have to expect more out of them moving forward, which I think we'll be able to get this next week. Sam has a couple comments. I don't know if
no A minus.
No A minus.
I don't know what that means. I don't know if you're giving them an A minus, but she also says Ian gets an F. And
yeah.
But you know what? Like that's I said at the beginning, I think that's part of what makes the game so beautiful is like they'll play in that pouring rain. Baseball, no offense to baseball, I'm wearing a Braves shirt, but if it starts sprinkling, they're bringing out the tarps and running around on their bats playing whatever, So I think it's a lot of fun. Adds to the beauty of the game. Some of the greatest moments in the history of the game have been in some crazy weather.
Yeah, I remember Blaine Gabbert's one shining moment was a game in Carolina when it was pouring down rain, and he had some crazy passes, and then he sucked the entire time he was here after that. So
Blaine Gabbert, oh my gosh,
man!
Listen, that's where I'll leave it. That's my final thought. If I can survive Blaine Gabbert's tenure as the Jaguars starting quarterback, that loss on Sunday is nothing.
And when you say survived Blaine Gabbert, didn't he beat us when he was with the Cardinals or was it the 49ers?
The Titans can't beat the Jags in the rain. That's darn right. Sam says Titans can't beat the Jags in the rain.
That's historical. Look it up. Okay, so before we go, we do want to do a little spotlight on our guest host Cody over here. So Cody, why don't you walk us through I think Josh has a few
man. So Cody's been a commentator on our first few broadcasts, and I've seen him comment on a lot of different places, and he's I call him Jags by 50 because that's his comment every time. So what we want to do, we want to have some other people other than Matt and I on, and Cody's sort of our first sort of guest host. So tell us a little bit about you. Like, when did you become a Jags fan, and maybe like what's one of your earliest or most fond memories of being a Jags fan?
So I'm from South Georgia originally, and I was a Cowboys fan. And sorry, everybody. So I got invited to a couple of Jags games when I moved down here. And on my first Jaguars game, I met Josh Scobie. I met Mark Brunell, and Paul Posluszny gave me his glove. And I was like, you know what? I had this moment. I was like, I'm never going to Texas. I don't even want to go. And I was like, I'm just going to be a Jaguars fan. The story with Josh Scobie is interesting because my stepdad has the last name Scobie. And he tells me as a kid that him and Josh Scobie grew up together playing football and all that stuff, right? So I asked Josh Scobie, I was like, do you know my stepdad? I named his name. And he says, I have no idea. And I was like, really? Because the way he tells it, y'all were buddies, And he was like, never heard of him. So I was like, okay. I was like, I'm going to ask him. So I asked my stepdad later, and he was like, switch this whole story up. Yeah, he was a distant cousin. That's not what you said, right?
You wouldn't know him. He went to another school.
Yeah.
He goes to a different school.
So I talked to Josh Scobie again, and I was like, so he switched up the whole story on me or whatever, and Josh just laughed, and I was like, you know what? These are really cool. This area is really cool. This stadium is really cool. Like just the whole vibe, the atmosphere, and everything. You said you love the Josh, and so do I. And it's Teal for the rest of my life. Duval till we die.
Darn right. Well, yeah, man, we appreciate you. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your insight, and obviously, appreciate the fact that you've actually watched our streams. Sam is now upset though. She said, Cody. She said, what about me? And that we are rude, but then she said Duval. So, Sam, I just didn't want to get you in trouble with your parole officer.
Listen,
So,
Sam, this is for you.
Oh, pour one out for your homie.
This is for you. And it says YOLO. So,
is that apple juice you've got there?
Oh no, man, tequila.
Just kidding.
Tequila.
Well, that's cool.
Right.
So do you regret having left the Dallas fan base?
Oh no, not at all. Have you seen him?
Yeah,
no, I haven't. Since 99.
Yeah. Tony Romo is cool, man. I love him as an announcer.
Yeah, I like Tony Romo. He's an interesting dude, right? But yeah.
I still this is some leftover animosity too. Des Bryant caught that ball, dude. Come on.
Oh, that was a catch for sure.
Yeah, he caught it. He caught it.
Yeah, and Tom Brady, that tuck rule game, that was a fumble. I don't care what the NFL
says.
That's a
fumble. Dude.
Shut up.
Oh my.
Even he admitted it. Even Tom Brady admitted that. So
yeah.
Well, shall we end here? Or do you want to go on with a little bit more?
I think the last thing we should do, just real quick, predictions against Houston. Okay. Cody, I already know what you're going to say.
Jags by 50.
There you go.
Jags by 50.
That's 5 prediction
for all those Texans fans.
Are the Jags at home or in Houston?
It's in Jacksonville.
Wait, doesn't matter. We're gonna win 50-0.
There we go.
Duval.
Woo!
That's right. I think I think it's going to be like a 31-10 game. I think the Jags are just going to beat them senseless. So there we go.
Where do you think the 10 comes from?
The 10, I think. Damian Pierce. They have a good. I think it's going to be close early, and then the Jags are going to go on some extended drives, and they're going to wear that defense out, and then the floodgates are going to open. But I think they'll get a touchdown early.
That's solid.
I think they will.
I'm going to say, honestly, I think it's for me. I'll say 34-6. I think they get 2 field goals. And that's it.
I think they come here and they get shut out just like the Colts.
It's hard, man. I mean, I know that they're not good. But it's the NFL and they're all professionals. And to get a shutout in the NFL is that's difficult, man.
Oh, Sam's got her prediction: redemption game, 34-6. So she
Trevor has a chip on his shoulder.
Wow.
I think more so. I think the whole team's gonna have a chip on their shoulder. I think they know they were better than what happened in Philly, and they're gonna look to prove it.
It's gonna be like that. Ooh, line that jump.
Well,
all right. Tell them about the contest, Matt. That's the only thing we got to do, and then we let it. Right. We let it end.
You're right. Okay, guys. We're still ramping things up here on all of our socials, so we would appreciate if you guys would swing by. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube, Facebook, MySpace, LiveJournal.
OnlyFans.
Any socials we're out.
OnlyFans? Oh, damn.
OnlyFans.
Manscaped.
It's the feet one. It's the feet one.
The feet. Only feet.
No. So what we're doing is we're going to do a giveaway once we hit 1,000 subscribers on each platform. So each platform will have its own giveaway. So say we hit 1,000 on Facebook, we're going to do $25 gift card giveaway. It'll most likely be to Fanatics. And it's not like you have to comment or like anything or watch a video. All we need you to do is just subscribe or like to it. That's all we're asking. And tell your mom, tell your aunt, uncle, tell your cellmate if you're watching from the Clay County Jail or Duval County Jail. We would greatly appreciate it. Yes, but on that note, I think we had a great show, guys. Where can we find you, Cody, on your social medias?
So Cody Cold Gaming on Facebook, on TikTok, and you can find me on Tinder. Please love me.
Oh Lord.
I'm just playing.
I'm on Twitter at Josh Gives Up. Also on Facebook. Hit me up, nerds.
I'm at Jag Wire Network. Or you can also find me on farmersonly.com.
I forgot about that one. Christian.
Hey, let's go.
And again, a shout out to Manscaped for their support of the program. Again, use our code FanBattle for 20% off and free shipping Thanks again, guys, for joining us. We'll see you next time.
And Matt is very aerodynamic.
All right.
Yes. I see what you did there. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.